All right. Hello, I'm Philip Basnight, and you're watching The Assembly Line, your only choice for SA election coverage. Tonight, we've got a great show for you. We've got Ryan Warsing here. Give him a hand. All right. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Natural Light, The Fishbowl, now serving Magnums, and Mitt Romney. First up tonight, we've got Andrew Kanakis. A week ago, you might have been wondering, who is Andrew Kanakis? And by Wednesday, you probably thought he was Mel Gibson, as displayed by his Facebook profile picture. He's working with the tagline, "Who thought they could win?" And honestly, a lot of years I would have said no one. But this year, I think it's anybody's race. He's been giving out t-shirts on the terrace. And what I want to know is, were those t-shirts made in America? Is he true to his stance? Next up, we've got Curt Mills. We did some research on him, but mostly we just stopped short at making puns about his name. What we did find out, however, is that he started as a senator and moved his talents over to the Virginia Informer. What we're wondering, though, is if he wins the election for president, will his tenure be Curt, or will he be able to keep grinding the mill? I'm so sorry. Oh, this just in. My crack team has just informed me that Curt and Melanie will be hosting an event at The Crust on Wednesday. And if that wasn't enough, it looks like they have their own drink. We weren't able to find out the actual name of this drink, but we do have some ideas. Curt Miller Lite, Hard Selenade, or my personal favorite, the Dirty Curdy. Next up, we've got David Alpert.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants.
That's right. In the infamous words of Dr. LL Cool J, don't call it a comeback. David ran for SA president last year, but it looks like he's back and in full swing. David's running on a platform of his top 10 changes he wants to see at William & Mary, and we liked that idea so much that we made our own top 10 list of our favorite shades of blue. Now to our colorist expert, Moises Yanez.
Thank you, Philip. We have periwinkle, cerulean, indigo, sapphire, robin's egg, navy blue, baby blue, royal, cobalt, and our favorite, Pepsi blue.
Next up, we've got Dallin McNerney, our only sophomore candidate for SA president. He's the new kid on the block. Who is he? So to discuss this underclassmen running, we brought in our underclassmen expert, Ryan Warsing. Please welcome Ryan Warsing. Ryan, pleasure to have you here on the show. I'm so glad you could make it.
Pleasure is mine.
Oh, absolutely. Now, see, Ryan, the problem here for me is I'm a junior, and I just don't feel like I have a connection to the freshman classes, the sophomore classes. It's been years since I was in, your DuPonts, your Gooches, your Dinwitties.
You've been away from my gooch for a while.
Absolutely,
right.
Years.
No, that's where I live. It's not really where I live, but that's all right.
We just
we do. Because if you just focus on numbers all day, you get crazy in that.
Exactly. But you're
right.
bringing us numbers.
I am bringing you so many numbers, as a matter of fact, because my team of pollsters and analysts have been analyzing and polling the field since noon this morning.
So you've got a team. You're on my team, and you've got your own team.
Yes, teams on teams on teams.
Teams on teams.
I said teams in there.
Teams on teams.
Whatever.
Moving on.
The point is that I've compiled the results, and I've found some striking gaps in the logic, because as you can see, McNerney's barely registering, not even on the graph at all with freshman voters. And I can't explain it. Can you explain it?
Well, Ryan, what I want to ask is he just not showing up in the polls, or did you run out of blue ink?
That's also quite possible. But the point is that he's really got to do something to get his name in the heads and minds of freshman voters, because if they don't have any inkling of who he is, he's not gonna get votes. That's how voting works.
Exactly.
So
that's your challenge.
Right. But as you can see, this is where I think this is really interesting.
Right,
this black region here is consuming most of the area in my carefully crafted pie chart.
Right.
We have the dark horse write-in candidate team of McGillicuddy, Gavin McGillicuddy, excuse me. All these names are silly.
Gavin and Dallin.
Yeah, they're silly names.
Moving and moving.
Right. Gavin McGillicuddy, surprise write-in candidate with his vice presidential nominee, Wawa Pam.
That's a strong team right there.
Strong, balanced ticket.
Most impressive thing about this team is they really haven't done any campaigning at all.
No, it's really viral grassroots stuff.
Absolutely.
It's tremendous how they're shaping the field.
Yeah.
It's they're really revolutionizing the game, and for
now,
that,
what else have you got for us?
Show. Well, perfect. I was glad you asked. Well, you got to ask yourself if maybe he's running into problems. Maybe just because of a lack of general enthusiasm and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And that's where I've compiled chart number 2. And as you can see, we've got numbers back dating to 1962, and over here on the left-hand side here, on the y-axis, you see that there's a scale from 1 to 10, which is a general measure of voter enthusiasm.
Okay. How do the kids feel?
Well, the freshman class is generally, as you can see, at a 3, meaning that they're pretty apathetic
That's
about
their
the whole
base.
process. Right, and it really does not change at all. And we can even project that 3 is going to stay constant well into the next decade.
Absolutely. So we know what's going to happen, but what happened back here?
Oh, that little dip, that's actually Watergate in the Nixon years.
Of course.
But you can see that it comes back to that plateau of 3 more towards the Reagan era.
Well, he was a good man.
He was handsome. But yeah, so that happens.
And it looks like you've got one more chart for
I
us.
do, and this is where the real meat of my experimentation has been cooking.
Right.
Where the meat's been cooking.
Right, that turkey in the oven.
That turkey in the oven. So I've compiled all these results into what I call Worsing's Law.
Absolutely.
And this here that I'm about to show you is what I like to call the freshman curve. Now, and this is where I think that the true measure of a candidate's appeal lies. And this is totally dependent on the number of Facebook notifications. So as you can see, we still have the same 1 to 10 enthusiasm scale, and the enthusiasm that I have found is totally dependent on the number of Facebook notifications that your average freshman would get from a candidate. So if you're a candidate, as you can see on the freshman curve, you want to be getting at around 25 notifications per person.
So that's the sweet spot right there.
That's the sweet spot.
If you could just hit 25.
Boom.
Just nail them.
Boom.
They're yours.
Boom.
You get them all the way up to an 8.
Right. You get all the way up to a solid.
From a 1 to an 8.
Exactly.
There
Exactly.
you go.
But and then you notice though, if you go over that limit, just as you go under that limit, you kind of taper off. People get so angry and so annoyed at receiving so many. Just frustrated.
And they just candidates fall into this pattern all the time.
All the time. Oh yeah, yeah.
It's dozens and dozens of
literally
notifications.
tens of candidates have fallen into this. And
Absolutely.
It's really done some people in, and that's where I think the meat of the freshman class is voting.
That's where their mindset is.
That's where their mind is focused, is the number of Facebook notifications on there.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that's something that the candidates, particularly Mr. McNerney,
Yeah.
are really going to have to focus if they want to break out of the field.
Break out of that shell. Well,
Right.
I really appreciate you coming in today. This is great stuff.
No, it is.
You heard it here, folks. This is how the underclassmen feel. Give him another hand for Ryan Worsing. Just great stuff. Just great stuff. All right. Next up, we've got Grace Colby. She's the only female candidate for SA president that we've got this year, and she's got a lot of experience. She's worked in the Senate for a long time, and it seems like she's pretty qualified. But what I want to know is William Mary ready for 2 girls, 1 ticket? Last but not least, we've got Noah Kim. He's been the Senate chair and the Senate finance chair, but he's running with a platform that says, taking back your student assembly. I thought he was the student assembly. Is he confused? Or is it just me? One thing's for sure, he's going to have to explain where Noah's Ark was when God killed the griffin. Stay tuned for the rest of the week for essay election and debate coverage, and I'd just like to thank everyone that worked on the show and our live audience today. Thank you guys, and have a good night.